If you think that being average at everything in your life is good, you're just wasting your life. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I've been having a good week, but I wanted to talk about a topic that has been really on my mind recently. I've been seeing a lot of content online, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but I've seen this same theme a few times this past week, and so I wanted to make a video on it. And that topic is the concept that people think being average at everything in their life is a good thing. I always hear people say that you shouldn't strive to be above average, or you shouldn't aim for a goal that is above average, because the definition of being average is being like everyone else, and how most people are like everyone else. But I think that entire concept of not being able to achieve something that is above average is impossible. I think that whole concept makes no sense. I think a lot of those videos that say you need to stop striving to be above average, or you need to stop putting so much pressure on yourself to be above average, because in reality you might not get there. I think that whole concept makes no sense. I think they're putting too much value towards how hard it is to be average at something, when in reality, to be average at something is not hard at all. There are all things that we're naturally good at. There are all things that we're naturally bad at. And there are all things that, for most people, we are just kind of average at. And so there are things that I am naturally bad at. And so if I wanted to get that skill to a average level, I would probably have to put some effort into it. And if it was something that actually mattered to me, then I would go ahead and do that to aim for an average value, or maybe even above average. But I think we're forgetting that all those skills that we all are kind of just average at, like say you're average at math, or you're average at science, but you're a little bit better at something more specific, or you're a little bit worse at English. If you took math or science, these two skills that you are average at, and you started putting so much effort into those skills that you become better in those skills, you are naturally going to be above average at those skills. By putting in that effort, you will become above average. You will be better than the average person at whatever you put effort into. And that's something that I think a lot of those videos don't realize, is that the level of average is kind of just where people tend to be on a skill level when they don't put much effort into things. Like most people, probably 80% of the world, if you take all the skills that it takes to be a human being, whether that's fitness, money, any subject in school, social skills, writing, all these things are a bunch of skills. And if you took 80% of the world and gave them some value on those skills, you'd find that probably a good portion of the population is essentially average at those skills. Now, if that's the baseline, we're all just naturally average at one of those skills, whether it's fitness, or maybe you're naturally average at, managing your money, or getting, having social skills, then with a little bit of effort, and if your goal is to become better in the gym, I don't think it's that far away from realizing that with some effort, you could go from an average person in terms of physical shape to clearly above average in that sense. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk probably more in terms of fitness or career-wise, just because it's a little bit easier for me to get the examples across. But I think the notion is the same pretty much between all subjects. If you are an average looking dude when you are in high school, we'll just say 150, 160 pounds, you're 5'8". I mean, I know most kids are taller nowadays, but if you're somewhat average looking, like if someone just looked at you when you're at the pool and they're like, yeah, he looks like a dude, then with some effort in the gym, it would not be very hard to become an above average looking guy when it comes to working out. You put on a little bit of muscle, you focus more on your diet, you actually go every single day, and you will now have an above average level to your physical fitness. And the idea that that is something that we shouldn't strive for and that it's actually hard to get to that point is kind of absurd. I think what those videos were talking about specifically is like that extreme level of life where you see these TikTokers driving Lamborghinis and living in the Miami penthouse and stuff like that. But that's not just above average. That's like above even the above average people. Like in that sense, I guess you could say like money wise, like those people make enough money to be driving exotic cars, living in crazy nice places, going out and spending $10,000 on a dinner. Like that's not just above average. And all this content is surrounding the concept of like, oh, you shouldn't strive to be great because there's just not that many people that are great. It makes no sense. You're comparing basically like some of the elite level performers to just being someone that's average or above average. Like that makes no sense. If you are average at a skill, whether that's your career, maybe your social skills or your dating skills or in the gym, like I said, it just takes focus and determination to become above average at those skills. The average person that doesn't put effort into any of those skills will stay average. And if you started locking in on your diet, or you started locking in on budgeting more, or you started focusing harder at work and you started meeting new people out in public, you would get an above average level of opportunities than the people that didn't put in that same effort. So the basis of this video is to just understand that like average is not something you should strive for. And I wanted to get into this a little bit later in this video, but everyone should strive to be above average at things they enjoy doing. Now, if I'm average at the gym, like I was probably below average when I started working out in terms of just average human beings. And now I would like to think I'm above average when it comes to like your average looking dude. So if there are things that you really love to do or you really want to improve on in your life, all it takes is like focus and consistency and like hard work, obviously. Like if you just focus on getting the hard stuff done, being there consistently, whatever skill you want to improve on, I think you should strive to be above average at that skill. I wanted to get in better shape, and I went from below average to at some point I was average, and then I kept focusing, I kept putting in that consistent effort, and now I'm above average, and I still love it, and I am still going to try and progress even farther down that road of being above average. But the concept that everyone's meant to be average, like if you were striving to be above average, that doesn't make sense because the exact definition of average is like the average. I know that doesn't make sense like when I say it, but all this content basically says like the exact idea of being average is that you are the average of a large sum of people. So it's pretty much impossible to get out of that average. It makes no sense. I think they're putting the value of average way too high down the road, and they think that everyone is kind of like average, and it's really hard to get that narrow margin above average. But in reality, average is like a 5 out of 10. So if we're doing it on a scale of like 1 to 10 and everyone's a 5, everyone starts at 5, even though realistically some people will start at 6, some people will start at 4, or some people even will start at 2. Like that's basically how I started when it came to the gym. I was like a 2 out of 10, and now I want like maybe I'm like a 7 out of 10. I don't know. But if you just take the concept that they're trying to explain and say, hey, everyone's a 5 out of 10, it is not hard to get to a 6 or to get to a 7 or an 8. Like, obviously, once you get farther down the line, it will naturally get harder because you're pulling yourself against the average. But the moving from like 5 to 6 is not that hard. That's just like focusing a little more on your career, or meeting new people once a week, or going to the gym like 3 times a week. Like, that's one small step that would bring you above the average. I don't get why people think that it is impossible for us to strive to be great, to strive to be above average at things that we genuinely enjoy in our life. So if you're watching this video and you have a passion for one thing, whether that's like playing an instrument or singing or dancing or making content or working out, like, there's so many aspects in life that if you really love, you should strive to be above average at that skill. Even if you start at the below average level, it is not absurd to want to become above average. That is literally how I found my passion for the gym, or that is literally how I found my passion in the world of finance. Like, I mean, when it came to the gym, like I said, I was below average, and in the path to me becoming average, I had to put in some effort. But in that journey, I found out how much I love the gym, and I love working out, and I love bettering myself in any way I can. And that has led to me putting in even more effort and becoming above average at that skill. When it comes to finances, or like personal finances, or just like any of those topics, maybe I was a little bit above average from the start, but that made me realize how much I love the topic, how much I love talking to people about it, how much I love just the industry. And so that has progressed me farther down the road of being above average because I love talking about it. I love doing it. I majored it in college, and now I'm working in that industry. So all of these things that you really find that you love in your life, whether that's things that you genuinely just care about and maybe no one else cares about, or maybe that's a more popular thing like social skills or your career. Like, if you love what you're doing, be better than other people at it. That's simply the purpose of this video. I want to tell you that it is not absurd to strive to be above average. It is actually, you should strive to become above average. The fact that you are wasting your time saying, oh, it's too much work to be above average at the things that I love to do, is absurd. Life is far too long for you to not work on the things that you actually care about. And like I said, that topic could be anything. Like, for you individually, we all have our own individual topics that we love. And so if you find that topic, you find that thing that you really love to do, I want you to take the next like 2 months to actually try and become above average at that thing. Or if you already are pretty good at it, try becoming a little bit better. And you'll find that it's not that hard to improve your skills at things in this life. The idea that everyone is meant to be average because that's literally what average means. It just means like what most people are in terms of skills. That's dumb. Like, we are inherently humans that, or we are inherently creatures that learn, especially towards things that we are interested in or good at. It's even easier for us to learn. So we are not meant to be average at everything. We are meant to have things that we are naturally bad at. We are meant to have most things that we are naturally average at. But if you find those 2 or 3 things in your life that you would do anything for, you love talking about it, you love telling your friends about it, you love telling your family about it, then why are you not putting in all of your effort towards being as good as possible at that skill or at that like topic? And that's like the point of this video. I love the gym. I love finances. My goal in life is to get so far down on that journey towards being a 10 out of 10 in that topic that I start to lose sight of the average. Average doesn't even make sense anymore. You are meant to be an above average human being. And if you have been unmotivated by people telling you that it makes no sense to strive to be above average, don't listen to them. Find that thing that you truly love to do and be above average at it. Be great at that skill. Because if you put in the effort, I promise you, you can be great at pretty much anything you set your mind to. So I know this video seemed a little bit like a rant, but in the end of the day, just know that you can be great at anything you put your mind to. So don't listen to other people. Focus on what you can do and how you can improve. And I just hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button and tune in for future videos, future pep talks, or any topic that I like to talk about, because that's the point of this channel, is to find people that want to improve themselves in some way, shape, or form as often as possible. I am a young adult who is trying to improve himself in some aspect, and that's why I made this channel. I want to find people that maybe can gain something from my experiences, or maybe they have experiences that can share with me. And so if you have anything you want to talk about, feel free to leave it down below in the comment section. Or if you have a topic you want me to talk about from my personal experience, I'd be more than happy to make a video on that. Also leave it down below. And if you enjoyed, hit that like and subscribe button. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Keep grinding, keep working hard towards your goals every single day, and make people remember your name. Peace out, guys. I'll see you in the next one.